When historians attempt to trace the origins of India's earliest foundational civilization, they run into a massive roadblock, a near total lack of physical ruins. Without pottery or stone walls to carbon date, researchers looked for a different kind of artifact. They turned to the spoken word, creating the field of comparative linguistics. In the 19th century, a German-born philologist named Friedrich Max Müller proposed a radical connection. Müller noticed undeniable phonetic patterns across ancient texts and concluded that a sudden, violent arrival of an Aryan race from Central Asia had conquered the Indian subcontinent. Historians would spend the next century debating the nature of this arrival. Regardless of the eventual conclusion, Müller's linguistic data acts as an invisible fossil record, providing coordinates that researchers still follow today. By charting the phonetic structure of ancient languages spanning thousands of miles across Europe and Asia, these linguists found impossible coincidences. This technical source table illustrates those connections. The Sanskrit column shows ancient Indian roots for family terms, matri, pitri, and bratri. These exact roots appear in Latin as mater, pater, and frater, and reveal the same lineage in Greek and English. This mirroring extends to broader vocabulary. The Sanskrit word for fire, agni, aligns with the Latin ignis. The Sanskrit number 10, dash, matches the Latin decim. Words matching with this level of precision across a landmass this large require a shared point of origin. To trace it, historians had to take this linguistic theory and search for physical evidence on a map. To ground this linguistic map in reality, archaeologists needed to find a physical text, carved in stone or clay, that tied these languages to a specific time and place. Tracing these linguistic patterns out of the Indus Valley and across Central Asia, the trail points to Anatolia, in modern-day Turkey. Here lie the stone foundations of ancient Hattusa, known today as the Bogazköy ruins. This site dates to 1400 BC. During this era, Hattusa served as the capital of the Hittite Empire, a major geopolitical power during a period of intense regional tension. In the early 20th century, excavators found a clay cuneiform tablet recording a peace treaty between the Hittite kings and the neighboring Mitanni Empire. This specific document acts as a crucial temporal and geographic coordinate for the Indo-Aryan migration debate because of the entities the empires called upon to enforce the peace. When Bronze Age kings signed a pact, they invoked their respective local deities as witnesses and guarantors of the agreement. When researchers translated the Bogazköy cuneiform, they isolated 4 distinct names. The text lists Indra, Mitra, Varuna, and Nasatya. Indra, Mitra, Varuna, and Nasatya are the core foundational deities of the Indian Rig Veda, yet they appear in a Turkish government document from 1400 BC, thousands of miles from the Indus Valley. This discovery triggered a debate regarding the direction of movement. Did this evidence prove a migration out of India to the west, or a migration from the west into India? The distance between Anatolia and India is too great to draw a direct line of movement based on a single tablet. Historians required a geographical and cultural link to determine the direction of the flow. That link was identified by shifting the focus eastward from Turkey to the mountain plateaus of ancient Iran. The primary evidence in this region is preserved in the Zend Avesta, the foundational religious text of ancient Iran. Comparing the Iranian Avesta side by side with the Indian Rig Veda reveals a predictable phonetic cipher. Words starting with an S sound in Sanskrit reliably shift to an H sound in Avestan. This rule applies to geographic terms. The Sanskrit name for the 7 rivers, Sapta Sindhu, morphs into the Avestan phrase Hapta Hindu. The same rule applies to theology. The Rig Vedic entity Asur transitions to the Avestan supreme god Ahura Mazda. These precise phonetic shifts confirm a shared Indo-Iranian cultural root, establishing a continuous chain of evidence from Anatolia through Iran to the Indian subcontinent. Max Müller's original 19th century interpretation of this data suggested a sudden, violent displacement, a conquering army moving across the map. Modern evidence has moved past the invasion theory. Recent genetic studies and the work of archaeologists like B.B. Lal and V.S. Wakankar have provided a clearer picture of ancient movement. The hard data, from DNA to the archaeological record, shows no evidence of continent-spanning warfare or mass slaughter during this period. The current consensus is cultural migration and interaction, a framework based on the slow, decentralized movement of ideas, language, and trade. This framework accounts for the spread of the Vedic gods and Indo-European roots through cultural exchange and interaction, rather than military conquest. The story of the ancient world is one of an interconnected network, where language and mythology traveled across continents, binding Europe and Asia together long before the modern era.